Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin.
There is a quiet story told by the ice. It is a story of time, of an ancient rhythm that only the frozen world knows. Imagine, if you will, the ice beneath your feet, smooth and hard, yet fragile in its silence. It carries with it memories from eons ago, from a time when the world itself was blanketed in white. These memories are not the memories of a human, but of a world that has stood still, watching life emerge, evolve, and shift across millennia. Ice has a way of remembering. It holds the imprints of the past in each delicate crystal. The snowflakes that dance in the air and fall softly to the ground are but small pieces of a vast, frozen tapestry that stretches back in time. Each snowflake, though delicate and fleeting in its brief moment of existence, carries a unique fingerprint. Under the cold and the silence, they are the first whispers of a much larger story, a story of the earth, not just in its present form, but in the layers of time it has accumulated. As the snowflakes fall from the sky, they carry with them the faintest hint of something deeper, something older. In the heart of the glaciers, deep beneath the surface, lies the quiet memory of the world as it once was, a time before the thawing began, before the sun's warmth began to reach deeper into the frost. The glaciers themselves are like giant archives, holding frozen volumes of Earth's history. What the world looked like when it was young, when the ice covered everything, when the mountains were born from the deep, frozen heart of the earth. Beneath layers of frozen snow and ice, scientists find traces of ancient organisms, of plant life long extinct, and gases from eras before human memory. They analyze these, studying the layers one by one, trying to understand the shifts that have occurred since those ancient times. Imagine for a moment the depth of time held within these frozen walls. There is no rushing here, no need to hurry. The ice does not follow the same rules as the rest of the world. It is unmoved by the march of years, by the hands of clocks. It exists in a suspended state, frozen in time. As you look at the frozen surfaces, you may find yourself wondering what secrets are hidden beneath, what answers lie just out of reach, waiting for the right touch, the right discovery. In its stillness, the ice invites reflection, a kind of reverence. It reminds us of the deep, slow pull of the past, of memories that never quite fade, even when the world around them changes. The ice seems to keep its secrets with a kind of reverence. There is no hurry here, no urgency. Everything moves in its own time. The cold is not just a sensation. It is a presence that envelops everything, a presence that demands patience, that invites contemplation. Time in the land of ice moves slowly, like a dream that lingers just beyond the edge of waking. As you stand before this vast, silent stretch of frozen landscape, you might find that your own sense of time seems to stretch out, as if it is blending with the eternal. There is a stillness that fills the air, a pause that encourages the mind to slow, to let go of its distractions, to simply be. This is the land where time itself is frozen, where the past lingers, quiet and waiting. Have you ever stood before an ancient glacier, the vast expanse of ice stretching endlessly into the horizon. It is as if time itself has been frozen, caught in a moment that refuses to move forward. The glacier moves so slowly that it is almost imperceptible, yet it holds the key to understanding the ancient past. In its frozen core, scientists have found traces of long-extinct creatures, plants, and gases from eras before human memory. They study these frozen remains, searching for answers to questions we have only just begun to ask. The answers are there, hidden in the layers, but the glacier is patient. It does not give up its secrets easily. As you walk across the icy surface, you may feel the subtle, almost imperceptible shifts beneath your feet. The ice is not static. It moves ever so slightly, but its pace is so slow that you cannot see it with your eyes. Imagine if you could sit still long enough, waiting for hours, days, or even years. You might be able to feel the ice breathing, exhaling a slow, rhythmic sigh. These small movements are the ice's way of telling the story of the world's transformations, of the forces that have shaped it, of the endless cycles of freezing and thawing, of the gradual warming that has shifted the earth from the icy grip of ancient winters to the warmer, more temperate climate we experience today. The ice holds stories that are older than we can fully comprehend, and yet it does not rush to share them. It waits for the right moment, for the right questions, for the right discoveries. It is as if the ice knows something we don't, something we are still learning to understand. The ice doesn't just preserve the past, it holds it close, cradling it in its frozen heart, waiting for us to return to it, to ask the right questions, and to listen to the quiet wisdom it has to offer. As you stand before a glacier, you might notice the quiet hum of the world around you. It is not the roar of a river, nor the rush of the wind, but a gentle, constant murmur. It is the sound of the ice shifting, of the earth below responding to the cold. These small movements tell a story that is not told in words, but in the slow, deliberate motions of the frozen landscape. It is a story that cannot be rushed, that cannot be hurried. It is a story that must be listened to with patience and reverence. Each whisper of the ice, each slight shift in the glacier, is a part of this story. The more you listen, the more you understand. The ice is not just cold, it is the keeper of memories, a bridge to the past that stretches through time, from the first snowflakes that touched the earth to the present moment. It is a reminder that time is not linear, that everything we see and feel has been shaped by forces older than we can imagine. And in its frozen heart, the ice holds the echoes of a world that was, and a world that will be again when the ice returns. There is something deeply serene about standing in front of a glacier, the ice stretching out before you, frozen and unmoving. The world around you feels distant, muted by the heavy silence of the snow. It's a silence unlike any other, one that seems to hold the weight of time itself. As you stand there, you can't help but wonder, what is it that the ice remembers? What secrets does it hold beneath its still, frigid surface? Ice has a way of holding on to the past. Its cool surface, delicate and yet unyielding, captures the smallest of moments. Each crystal, each flake, each layer carries with it the memory of a time long gone, a time when the world was different, when it was colder, when the earth itself was locked beneath the grasp of winter. There are stories embedded within the ice, but they are not stories told with words or sound. They are told in the slow, quiet movements of the frozen world, in the layers that build over millennia, in the frozen air that hangs like a heavy blanket, holding the memories of everything that came before. Imagine for a moment the slow descent of a snowflake from the sky. It begins as a tiny, almost imperceptible speck, but as it floats through the air, it grows, becoming more and more intricate, more unique with each passing moment. When it finally touches the ground, it joins its brothers and sisters, creating a blanket of snow that seems to cover everything. The snow does not just fall, it gathers. It holds memories, moments, and traces of the world it touches. As each flake settles into place, it forms a picture of the present, yes, but also of the past, of everything that has led up to this moment. As the snow begins to accumulate, so does the ice beneath it. Layer by layer, the world beneath the ice is sealed away, preserved in the quiet, cold embrace of the glacier. The ice moves so slowly that it is imperceptible to the human eye. It is like the passing of the seasons, so gradual that we hardly notice it at all. Yet beneath the surface, the ice is constantly shifting, constantly changing. Over time, this slow, unrelenting movement forms cracks, crevices, and deep fissures within the glacier. These changes are so small that they are impossible to observe from day to day, but over the course of centuries, they add up. Each tiny shift carries with it the echo of time itself, the soft murmur of an ancient world long gone. Now imagine standing at the base of a glacier, looking up at its towering ice walls. The light reflects off the surface, creating a dazzling, almost ethereal glow. This is a land untouched by time, a place where the earth has been frozen in its tracks, where everything is held still, suspended in the embrace of winter. The glacier moves, but it does so at a pace so slow that it seems as though it isn't moving at all. In fact, it is so slow that we might forget that it is moving. But the ice has a way of remembering. It holds the secrets of the earth in its frozen heart. There is no rush in the land of ice. Everything moves in its own time. The cold is not just a sensation. It is a presence, a constant companion that shapes everything it touches. It is not an aggressive cold, one that drives you away, but a cold that wraps itself around you like a blanket, inviting you to slow down, to listen, to breathe in time with the earth. Time in the land of ice moves slowly, almost lazily. It moves at a pace that is almost imperceptible to the human mind, but if you stop and listen closely, you can feel it. It is a quiet, rhythmic hum that echoes in the stillness. When you stand before the ice, you are not just looking at a frozen mass of snow and rock. You are standing before a monument to time, a testament to the Earth's history. The ice beneath your feet is not just ice. It is a living memory holding the traces of a world long gone. Scientists know this, and they have spent years studying the layers of ice, carefully examining the small bubbles trapped within, the dust particles, the microscopic remains of life that were once part of the world. Each layer of ice tells a story that stretches back thousands, even millions of years. And as the ice continues to move, as the glaciers shift and melt, they release those memories, offering us a glimpse into a world we can no longer touch. But the stories the ice tells are not just about the past. They are about the present, too. As the world warms and the glaciers begin to melt, the ice is revealing the secrets it has kept hidden for so long. The ice carries with it evidence of our changing planet, of the ways in which the Earth is shifting beneath our feet. And as the ice melts, it offers us a stark reminder of our place in this vast, interconnected world. It tells us that time is not static, that the world is always changing, always evolving. The ice is a reminder that nothing is permanent, and that even the coldest, most distant parts of the Earth are not immune to the effects of time. And so, as you stand in the presence of the glacier, you are not just standing before a block of ice. You are standing before a living, breathing testament to the passage of time, to the slow and steady rhythm of the world. You are standing before a memory of the Earth, a memory that stretches back to the very beginning of time. The ice speaks in its silence, in the way it holds still, in the way it moves so slowly that it almost seems frozen in place. It is a reminder that everything is part of a greater story, one that unfolds over time, layer by layer, until it is frozen into place, held there for all eternity. And as you stand there, lost in the quiet hum of the glacier, you realize that you are not just a visitor in this frozen world. You are part of the story, too. The ice is part of you, and you are part of it. You are connected to the Earth, to the slow, steady rhythm of time that moves through all things. The ice may be silent, but it speaks to you if only you take the time to listen. It speaks of the past, of the present, and of the future. It speaks of the stories that are yet to be told, of the secrets that are yet to be uncovered. It speaks, in its own quiet way, of the infinite dance of life and death, of growth and decay, of the constant ebb and flow of time. The glaciers are not just the remains of the past. They are the living markers of a world that once was, now frozen in time. When you stand before them, you stand before an endless library of memories, written not in ink but in layers of snow and ice. Each layer holds a year, a season, a moment in history, some of which are far older than human civilization itself. The ice holds secrets, and as the climate warms, those secrets begin to thaw, spilling their stories into the present. Yet they are stories told in whispers, soft murmurs that require patience, understanding, and time to fully hear. The ice we see today is not the same as it was centuries ago. Over time, glaciers have retreated, shrunk, and shifted, leaving behind traces of the ancient landscapes they once covered. As these glaciers melt, they reveal what they've preserved: remnants of long-extinct animals, dust from the air, the imprint of plants from millions of years ago. There are tiny bubbles of air trapped in the ice, like breath frozen in time. These bubbles are like the memories of the Earth, carrying the essence of what the planet was like long before humanity ever walked upon it. Imagine, for a moment, what it would be like to take one of these frozen breaths, to inhale the very air that once filled the lungs of creatures who roamed the land in ages long past. The ice is not just a barrier, it is a bridge that connects the past to the present, linking the ancient world to the one we live in today. These layers of frozen snow have borne witness to the gradual unfolding of life on Earth. From the first tentative steps of plants taking root on barren land, to the flourishing of complex ecosystems that fill our forests, rivers, and oceans, the ice has seen it all. It has watched as the Earth's climate shifted, as mountains were raised from the ocean floor, and as volcanoes erupted, spewing ash into the air and changing the course of history. The ice, in its quiet and unyielding way, has kept track of every shift, every moment, every change. As the ice melts, scientists are able to study these frozen records and learn about the Earth's distant past. They find that the Earth has not always been as it is now. There were times when it was far colder, when glaciers covered vast swaths of the planet. There were times when the world was warmer and the glaciers shrank to mere shadows of their former selves. The ice tells a story of constant change, a story of a planet that is never static but always in flux. The memory of the ear. H is written in the ice, but it is a memory that is always shifting, always evolving, just as the Earth itself does. But the ice also holds something more. It holds the echoes of life. As the ice melts, the organisms that were once trapped within it begin to re-emerge. Tiny microorganisms that have been dormant for thousands, even millions of years, come back to life. They are like the ghosts of an ancient world, awakening from their long slumber. These microorganisms offer us a glimpse into the past, a past that we may never fully understand but can only begin to glimpse through the lens of science. And with them, the ice holds a quiet warning. The Earth is not static, and the past is not dead. The ice shows us that the Earth is a living, breathing organism, one that is constantly shifting, evolving, and adapting. But the ice does not only preserve life, it also holds the memory of the forces that have shaped the planet. The glaciers are not merely passive records of the past, they are active participants in the shaping of the land. They carve valleys, reshape mountains, and move debris from one place to another. The weight of the ice is immense, and it has the power to reshape the very surface of the Earth. The glaciers are not just the past, they are part of an ongoing process, one that continues to unfold before our eyes, even as we stand upon their frozen surfaces. There is a rhythm to the ice, a slow, steady beat that is almost imperceptible to the human ear. It is the rhythm of time itself, the pulse of the Earth. The ice moves slowly, almost imperceptibly, like a breath that comes and goes with no urgency, no rush. This rhythm is not just a physical movement, but a deeper one. It is the rhythm of change, the rhythm of life itself. The Earth does not change suddenly, but in slow, deliberate steps, much like the movement of a glacier. And just as the ice moves, so too does life. We cannot see the changes happening around us, but they are happening all the same. The glaciers remind us of this with their slow, steady movement, their quiet pulse. As you stand before the ice, you begin to realize that it is not just a frozen mass. It is a living entity, one that is constantly changing, constantly evolving. It is a mirror of the Earth itself, reflecting the constant ebb and flow of time. The ice does not forget the past, it holds it within, deep within its core. And as the world warms, as the ice melts and recedes, it reveals these secrets to us, one by one. But even as it melts, the ice does not let go. It holds on to the memories of a time long gone, a time before humanity, a time before the world was shaped by the hands of man. The ice is patient. It waits for the right moment to reveal its secrets. And when it does, it tells us stories of a time when the Earth was different, when the climate was colder, when the glaciers covered the land. These stories are not just about the past, they are about the future. The ice teaches us that the Earth is not a static place. It is constantly changing, constantly evolving. The ice is a reminder that nothing stays the same forever, that the forces of nature are always at work, shaping the world around us. The ice speaks to us in its silence, in its stillness. It tells us that time moves at its own pace and that we must be patient. It tells us that change is inevitable, but that we are part of something larger, something more ancient than ourselves. We are part of the earth, just as the ice is part of the earth. And just as the ice moves, so too do we. We may not always see the changes happening around us, but they are happening all the same. The ice reminds us that change is a slow and steady process, one that takes time, but one that is always happening, always moving, always evolving. As you stand there, lost in the quiet hum of the glacier, you realize that you are not just a visitor in this frozen world. You are part of it. You are part of the story, part of the rhythm, part of the living, breathing earth. The ice is a part of you just as you are a part of it. And as you listen to the silence, you understand that time, like the ice, moves slowly, but it moves. It moves with purpose, with intention, and with a steady rhythm that is as old as the earth itself. As the ice melts, its secrets are revealed slowly, softly, like the last whispers of a distant memory. Each drop of water that falls from the glacier is a small story, a quiet answer to questions that have been asked for millennia. The ice, in its stillness, speaks of change, of transformation, of the forces that have shaped our world, and the forces that continue to shape it today. It is a story of patience, of time unfolding at its own pace, of life emerging from the cold, of an ancient world coming to life once again. The glacier has been here for so long, watching as the world around it has changed, as mountains have risen and fallen, as forests have grown and decayed. Yet in the frozen depths it has remained constant. It is as if the ice itself is a reminder that despite all the changes, there is something enduring, something timeless. The ice does not change quickly, it does not rush. It is patient, waiting for the right moment to reveal its stories. But even as the ice melts, even as the world around it shifts, it holds onto the past, holding it in its frozen heart. The world that we see today is not the same as the world the ice has known. The glaciers, once vast and unstoppable, have receded, shrinking as the climate warms. The ice that once covered entire continents has slowly, steadily melted away, leaving behind a landscape forever changed. And yet, even as the ice disappears, it leaves behind traces of its past. These traces, these remnants, are like echoes of a world that once was, a world that is now gone but not forgotten. As the ice melts, it releases more than just water, it releases the past. It releases the memories of a time when the earth was colder, when the glaciers were vast and unyielding. It releases the stories of the creatures that once roamed these frozen lands, the plants that grew in the harshest of conditions, the ancient air that filled the lungs of life long gone. The ice holds all of this, and as it melts, it gives us a glimpse into a time before humanity, a time when the earth was a very different place. But the ice also speaks of the future. It speaks of the changes that are yet to come, the shifts that we are only beginning to understand. The ice is a mirror of the planet, reflecting the changes that are happening all around us. As the glaciers recede, as the ice melts, the landscape of our world is shifting too. We are living in a time of great change, a time when the forces of nature are shaping the earth in ways we cannot yet fully comprehend. The ice in its melting reminds us that we are a part of this change, that we too are part of the ever-changing landscape of the earth. The memory of the ice is not just a memory of the past. It is a memory of the future, a reminder that the earth is always in flux, always moving, always evolving. The ice has been here for millions of years, holding the stories of the past within its frozen heart. But as it melts, it also holds the promise of what is to come. It tells us that change is inevitable, that the world will continue to shift, continue to change, continue to evolve. And in this change there is beauty. There is a kind of quiet poetry in the way the ice moves, in the way it melts, in the way it releases its secrets to the world. We are not separate from the ice, not separate from the earth. We too are part of this great, slow-moving rhythm, part of the ebb and flow of time. The ice reminds us of this, reminding us that we are all connected, that we are all part of something larger than ourselves. It teaches us that time moves in its own way, that it moves slowly, steadily, but always forward. The ice teaches us to be patient, to wait, to listen, and to understand that the changes that are happening in the world around us are not just happening to the earth. They are happening to us too. As the ice melts and the glaciers recede, we are left with a changed landscape, a world that is different from the one the ice once knew. But even as the ice disappears, its memory remains. The stories that the ice holds, the secrets it keeps, are still with us, carried forward into the future. The ice may be melting, but its memory is eternal, held within the very fabric of the earth. And as we move forward, as we navigate the changes that are happening in our world, we carry with us the lessons that the ice has taught us. That change is inevitable. That time is slow but steady, that the past is always with us, and that we are all part of this great, ever-moving rhythm. The ice does not speak in words, but it speaks nonetheless. It speaks in the way the land moves, in the way the glaciers shift, in the way the water flows. It speaks in the way life adapts, in the way the earth responds to the forces that shape it. And as the ice melts, as the glaciers retreat, it reminds us that we, too, are part of this great story, part of this never-ending cycle of change and transformation. The memory of ice is not a memory of a single moment, but of countless moments, each one frozen in time, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be understood. And as we listen to the stories the ice has to tell, we are reminded that we are all part of this vast, interconnected world, that we are all part of the same rhythm, the same flow, the same eternal dance of time. Snowflakes, those delicate, almost ephemeral wonders that fall gently from the sky, seem to possess a kind of quiet magic. They drift down in slow motion, as if in harmony with the very breath of the earth. Each one, unique in its intricate design, carries with it the memory of the cold air that birthed it, the silent story of the winds that guided it on its journey to the ground. Imagine or a moment standing outside on a winter's evening, watching as the first snowflakes begin to fall. They float through the air, catching the light from nearby street lamps, shimmering like tiny, frozen stars, each one an individual, yet all bound by the same gentle rhythm. As the snowflakes fall around you, it is easy to believe that they are random, that their delicate patterns are mere accidents of nature. But if you look closer, if you pause long enough to truly observe, you will notice something remarkable. Each snowflake is a carefully constructed masterpiece, a perfect design shaped by the very elements that brought it into being. The air, the temperature, the moisture in the atmosphere, all these forces come together to craft a single, unique snowflake. It is not by chance that these frozen wonders take on such exquisite forms. Rather, it is the result of a quiet, invisible process that has been unfolding in the atmosphere for hours, even days, before that snowflake reaches the ground. At first glance, a snowflake might seem like a simple, fragile thing, easily crushed by a gentle touch or lost in the wind. But it is, in fact, a tiny marvel of nature's engineering, a perfect structure born from the dance of water molecules. When water vapor in the cold air begins to freeze, it forms ice crystals. These crystals are shaped by the temperature, by the humidity, and by the gentle currents of the air, which influence how they grow. Snowflakes form when these crystals cluster together, creating the intricate, symmetrical designs that we so often admire. Each branch, each delicate arm of the snowflake, grows at its own pace, yet is perfectly aligned with the others, forming a structure that is as beautiful as it is scientifically precise. To truly understand the beauty of a snowflake, one must appreciate the way it reflects the natural world's deep interconnectedness. A snowflake is not just a random accumulation of frozen water. It is the product of the atmosphere itself, a perfect illustration of how everything in nature works together in harmony. As a snowflake forms, it is influenced by its environment in ways that are almost too subtle to detect. The temperature shifts by a fraction of a degree, the humidity changes ever so slightly, and the winds stir the crystal at just the right moment, guiding its growth. All these forces combine to create something utterly unique, something that has never existed before and will never exist again. The snowflake is a reminder that every moment, no matter how fleeting, is shaped by the forces around it, and that beauty arises from the interplay of these forces. But it is not just the physical process that makes snowflakes so remarkable. There is something deeply poetic about their transient nature, their short-lived beauty. A snowflake, once it touches the ground, begins to melt almost immediately, its delicate form dissolving into water, returning to the atmosphere from whence it came. This cycle of birth, growth, and eventual dissolution is a reflection of the larger cycles that govern the natural world. The snowflake reminds us that beauty is not always meant to last forever. Sometimes it is the impermanence, the fleeting nature of something, that gives it its power, its grace. The snowflake's beauty lies not just in its design, but in its brevity, in the way it dances briefly in the air before it is gone, leaving behind only the memory of its form. Imagine for a moment that you are standing beneath the falling snow, your breath visible in the cold air. The snowflakes fall all around you, each one a tiny, intricate pattern, each one unique, yet all part of the same endless sky. As they touch your skin, they melt, disappearing almost instantly. Yet for a brief moment, they are part of you, part of the landscape, part of the moment itself. The snowflakes, in their impermanence, teach us something profound. They show us that beauty exists not in permanence, but in the delicate, fleeting moments that make up our lives. Just as the snowflakes are shaped by the wind and the temperature, so too are we shaped by the forces around us, by the experiences we have, by the people we meet, by the world we live in. As the snow continues to fall, the ground around you begins to change. What was once bare earth is now covered in a soft, white blanket. The world seems to grow quieter, more peaceful, as the snow muffles the sounds of the world. The snowflakes, in their soft descent, seem to bring with them a sense of calm, a sense of stillness that is rare in our busy lives. The air feels purer, fresher, as if the snowflakes are cleansing the world, one flake at a time. In the quiet of the snowfall, there is a sense of renewal, of freshness, of a new beginning. The world, for a moment, seems to pause, and in that pause there is a deep sense of peace. Each snowflake that falls from the sky is a tiny miracle, a frozen story that carries with it the memory of the world above. And in its brief existence, it also carries a deeper message, a reminder that we are all part of something much larger than ourselves, a part of the delicate balance of nature that shapes our world. The snowflakes, in their brief, fleeting beauty, speak of the interconnectedness of all things, of the way that each small moment, each tiny action, ripples out to touch everything else. They are a reminder that even in the cold, even in the harshness of winter, there is beauty, there is life, there is movement. The snowflakes teach us that beauty is not always loud, not always permanent. Sometimes it is quiet, fleeting, and soft, like the touch of snow upon the earth. And in this moment, standing amidst the falling snow, you realize that you too are part of this grand, delicate design. Just as the snowflakes form in the atmosphere, guided by forces beyond their control, so too are you shaped by the world around you, by the moments you experience, by the forces that influence your life. The snowflakes remind you that life is not about permanence, but about the delicate, fleeting moments that come together to create something beautiful, something profound, something real. In the delicate dance of a snowflake's formation, we find a quiet harmony, an intricate melody between the water and the air, where every flake becomes a unique symphony of frozen molecules. When a snowflake forms, the process is nothing short of magical in its precision. As water vapor in the atmosphere begins to freeze, it gathers onto tiny particles of dust, dirt, or even pollen, forming a delicate crystal. This tiny crystal begins its journey through the cold, and as it moves, the temperature and moisture in the air shape it, growing it layer by layer, branch by branch, until it becomes the snowflake we recognize. The way these snowflakes form is not just a physical phenomenon. It's a beautifully orchestrated dance that speaks of the world's delicate balance. Every snowflake is a message from the atmosphere itself. It is a product of the specific moment in time when it was formed. The temperature, the humidity, the wind, all these elements come together, creating a snowflake that will never exist again. Imagine how this one flake, shaped by invisible forces in the air, carries with it the imprint of a fleeting, specific moment. This is why no two snowflakes are identical. They are expressions of the exact conditions of their creation, each carrying the signature of that precise instant in time. As we observe these flurries of snow falling from the sky, we might be struck by the beauty of the snowflake's symmetry. Every flake has 6 arms, arranged in perfect, radiating symmetry, each arm formed by the natural forces acting upon the water molecules. This symmetry is not just a visual delight, but a reflection of the laws of nature itself. Snowflakes are the epitome of how nature balances randomness and order. While the individual molecules within a snowflake can arrange themselves in myriad ways, there is a deeper, invisible law that guides the formation of those delicate, symmetrical patterns. It is as if the snowflake speaks the language of the universe, a language where chaos and order are not opposing forces but two sides of the same coin. The way these tiny crystals grow tells us a great deal about the world we live in. It reveals how our planet's atmospheric processes work, how the moisture in the air condenses and freezes, how tiny changes in temperature can alter the shape of the ice crystals that make up the snow. Each snowflake tells a story, not just about the cold, but about the very nature of the air we breathe, the atmosphere that surrounds us, and the earth itself. When you think about it, each snowflake is a messenger from the heavens, bringing us information from a place we can rarely visit, the realm of the upper atmosphere. Yet even in its delicate beauty, the snowflake also carries a profound lesson, the impermanence of life. As soon as a snowflake touches the ground, it begins to melt, dissolving back into the water from which it came. In that fleeting moment, the snowflake's existence holds a quiet power. It speaks of the transient nature of all things, the way life, like the snowflake, is beautiful in its briefness. We watch the snowflakes fall, marveling at their complexity, their symmetry, but we cannot hold onto them. They are gone as quickly as they arrive, and yet in their brief existence, they are perfect. They exist to remind us that beauty often lies in the fleeting, in the moments we experience, however short-lived they may be. As the snowflakes continue their descent, something magical happens. The ground, once bare, becomes covered in a soft, white blanket. The snowflakes accumulate, layer by layer, forming a quiet landscape of pure, untouched beauty. The world seems to pause. The snow mutes the sounds around you, turning the world into a soft, peaceful silence. It's as if nature itself is taking a moment to to reset, to rest. The snowflakes, now gathered together, have formed something new. They are no longer individual crystals. They are now a part of the greater landscape, a part of the earth itself. And as they rest on the ground, they begin to weave their stories into the fabric of the world, creating a moment of stillness, of calm. But the snowflakes do not remain still for long. As the day passes, the temperature changes. Some snowflakes begin to melt under the warmth of the sun, their delicate forms dissolving back into water, a quiet return to the atmosphere. Others remain, waiting for the next cold night to preserve them, to hold them for a little while longer. This back and forth between solid and liquid is a reminder of the dynamic world we live in. Just as the snowflakes shift from one state to another, so too does everything in life change, ebb, and flow. Nothing is permanent, yet everything is part of the same endless cycle of transformation. The snowflakes journey from the sky to the ground, and then back again into water, mirrors the cycles that govern the natural world. It speaks of the constant change we all face, of the inevitable return to the elements. The beauty of the snowflake is not just in its appearance but in its fleeting nature. In a way, the snowflake is a reflection of life itself, beautiful, delicate, and brief. And yet within that brief existence, it leaves a profound impact on the world around it. The snowflakes, as they fall, blanket the earth, transforming the landscape, creating a new world, even if only for a time. In the same way, we too leave our mark on the world, however briefly we may be here. Our lives, like the snowflakes, are short, but they are meaningful. Each of us, in our own way, shapes the world, leaving behind traces of our existence. And just as the snowflakes create a beautiful, peaceful blanket of snow on the ground, so too do our actions, our thoughts, and our lives shape the world around us in ways we may never fully understand. There is a quiet wonder in the snowflakes, a sense of awe in their delicate, fleeting beauty. They are, in their way, a reminder to us all to appreciate the moment. Just as the snowflakes do not last forever, neither do the moments of our lives. They are brief, but in that briefness, they hold a certain power. The snowflakes, in their slow, deliberate descent, teach us to slow down, to appreciate the world around us, to marvel at the small things. Their gentle presence in the winter sky calls us to pause, to notice, and to reflect on the beauty of the world as it is right now, in this very moment. And as you stand there beneath the falling snow, you realize that, like the snowflakes, you too are part of something larger, something beautiful, something that has been shaped by forces both seen and unseen. You are part of the dance of life, part of the ongoing process of change and transformation. Just as the snowflakes return to the earth, so too do we return to the elements. We are all part of this great, interconnected web of life, shaped by forces we cannot always see, but that guide us all the same. The snowflakes, in their brief, fleeting existence, remind us of the beauty of change, the power of the moment, and the importance of embracing life as it is, in all its fragile, fleeting wonder. As the last of the snowflakes drift gently toward the earth, it becomes clear that their journey is not an isolated one, but rather part of a much larger, ever-evolving narrative. A snowflake is never alone in its descent. It is part of a vast, interconnected dance with the forces of nature. These forces, although invisible and often imperceptible to us, are the silent directors of the snowflake's path. The wind pushes them, the air shapes them, and the temperature dictates the form they will take. And yet, in the brief life of a snowflake, we see a profound lesson. We are all shaped by the forces around us, even if we cannot always see them. Each snowflake carries within it the history of the atmosphere that created it. It is a memory frozen in time, a snapshot of the delicate conditions of the moment it formed. From the moment it begins as a tiny water vapor particle, it is guided by the invisible currents of the atmosphere, influenced by the temperature and the moisture in the air. These subtle factors shape it, guide it, and determine its unique pattern. No two snowflakes are the same because no two moments in time are the same. Each snowflake is a reflection of the uniqueness of the universe. Each one a masterpiece created from a set of circumstances that can never be replicated. But it is not just the snowflake's design that speaks to us. It is the way it moves through the air, the way it floats and drifts, seemingly weightless like a message carried by the wind. The snowflake's path is never direct. It is erratic, meandering, sometimes taking unexpected turns, sometimes drifting lazily toward the earth, other times spur, ailing down in a flurry of delicate motion. And yet, Despite its seemingly random movement, the snowflake is always on course. It is moving toward its final destination, the earth, where it will join its brothers and sisters in a delicate blanket of snow. As you watch the snowflakes fall, you are reminded of the many paths we all take in life. Just as the snowflakes meander through the sky, we too are often guided by invisible forces, forces that shape our journey, sometimes gently, sometimes with great power. We may not always understand the forces that guide us, just as the snowflakes cannot control the wind that pushes them, but we are always in motion, always moving toward our destination. And much like the snowflake, we may not know exactly where we are headed, but we trust that the forces around us are guiding us toward something meaningful, toward a place where we belong. As the snowflakes accumulate, they begin to transform the landscape. The ground, once bare and brown, becomes covered in a soft, white blanket. The world looks different now, quieter, more peaceful. The snow has a way of softening everything it touches. The harsh lines of the world seem to fade away, replaced by the gentle curves of the snowdrifts. The world becomes a place of calm, a place of quiet reflection. In the stillness of the snow, there is a sense of renewal, as if the earth is taking a deep, calming breath, ready to embrace whatever comes next. The snowflakes in their silence carry with them the weight of time. They are a reminder that change is constant, that the world is always in flux, always in motion. But even as the world changes, as the seasons shift and the snow melts away, there is beauty in that change. The snowflakes in their brief lives remind us that beauty can be found in impermanence, in the fleeting moments that pass us by. Just as the snowflakes fall, melt, and return to the earth, so too do we, in our own way, experience the ebb and flow of life. We are born, we grow, and eventually we return to the world around us, leaving behind only the traces of our journey. In this moment, standing amidst the snowfall, you realize that the snowflakes are more than just tiny pieces of ice. They are a reflection of the world's delicate balance, a symbol of the interconnectedness of all things. They remind us that we are all part of something much larger than ourselves, that we are shaped by the forces around us, just as the snowflakes are shaped by the air, the temperature, and the wind. We, too, are part of this great dance of life, moving through the world, guided by forces we may not always understand, but always moving toward something greater. The snowflakes teach us to embrace the moment, to appreciate the beauty of the fleeting, the delicate, and the temporary. They remind us that beauty does not always come in the form of permanence, but in the moments that pass by like the falling snowflakes, each one unique, each one fleeting, but all part of the same larger pattern. The snowflakes show us that life, too, is a series of moments, each one beautiful in its own way, even as it melts away into the past. As the snowflakes continue to fall, the world around you becomes more and more transformed. What was once a barren landscape is now a blank canvas, covered in a soft, white layer of snow. The world seems to pause for a moment, as if holding its breath. And in that pause there is a deep sense of peace, of quiet reflection, of stillness. The snowflakes have come, and in their delicate dance they have transformed the world. They have created something beautiful, something pure, something that will last only for a while, but that beauty lies in its impermanence, in the briefness of its existence. And as the last snowflake falls, you realize that the world is never the same. With each new snowflake, the landscape changes, the world transforms, and so too does life. With every moment that passes, we are shaped, molded, and changed by the forces around us. Just as the snowflakes fall, we too move through life, guided by forces we cannot always see, but always in motion, always moving toward something greater, something meaningful. The snowflakes, in their quiet beauty, remind us that we are part of this ever-changing world, and that even in our fleeting moments, we are part of something much larger than ourselves. There is an ancient rhythm that beats deep beneath the ice, hidden in the coldest, most remote places on Earth. It is the sound of a world that has been frozen for eons, a heartbeat that echoes in the depths of glaciers and under the frozen tundra. This rhythm is not something that can be heard with the ear, but something that can only be felt, a presence that stirs beneath the surface of the earth. It is the pulse of a planet that has been shaped by ice and cold, a heartbeat that has witnessed the rise and fall of mountains, the flow of rivers, and the transformation of entire landscapes. The heartbeat beneath the ice is a reminder that the earth is alive, that it is constantly shifting, evolving, and adapting, even in the coldest, most inhospitable places. Imagine, for a moment, the vastness of the frozen expanse that stretches before you. The glaciers, towering and majestic, seem to hold the very weight of time upon their shoulders. Their surfaces glisten in the weak light of the sun, reflecting the cold beauty of the world they inhabit. Beneath this frozen surface lies a world of secrets, a world of ancient rhythms that have been preserved for millennia. The ice may appear still, unmoving, but beneath it there is life, there is motion, and there is a pulse that carries the memories of the earth. The heartbeat beneath the ice is not a single sound, but a symphony of forces at work. It is the sound of tectonic plates shifting deep within the earth, of the slow movement of glaciers as they creep across the land, carving out valleys and shaping the very face of the planet. It is the sound of pressure building up, of ice and snow pressing down on the earth, creating a weight that transforms the land beneath. It is a rhythm that speaks of slow, steady change, of the forces of nature at work, shaping the world one small movement at a time. As you stand on the surface of the ice, you may feel the weight of the world beneath you. It is a heavy, quiet force, one that presses against the ground, shaping everything it touches. The ice is not just a frozen layer. It is a record of time itself, a record of the Earth's history, preserved in its frozen state. The ice holds the stories of a world long gone, a world that has been shaped by the forces of nature over millions of years. And beneath that ice, the heartbeat continues, steady and slow, a reminder that the earth is constantly changing, even when it appears to be still. This ancient rhythm beneath the ice is not just a physical force, it is a spiritual one. The pulse of the earth, the heartbeat that lies hidden beneath the frozen surface, connects us to something larger than ourselves. It is a reminder that we are part of this world, part of this earth, and that we are connected to the forces that shape it. The heartbeat beneath the ice is a reminder that we are not separate from the planet, but rather an integral part of its ongoing transformation. Just as the glaciers carve valleys and shape the land, so too do we, in our own way, leave our mark on the world. When we stand before the ice, when we gaze upon the glaciers that stretch endlessly before us, we are reminded of the power of nature. The ice may appear still, unmoving, but it is a force that shapes the world around it. Beneath the surface, the earth is constantly shifting, constantly evolving. And just as the glaciers move slowly, imperceptibly, so too do the forces of change in our own lives. Life is a constant movement, a constant shift, a constant rhythm that carries us forward. The heartbeat beneath the ice reminds us that change is inevitable, that the world is always in motion, and that we are always a part of that movement. The Earth's heartbeat is a slow and steady pulse, one that moves with a kind of quiet grace. It is not a loud, thunderous sound, but a soft, rhythmic pulse that carries the weight of the world. This heartbeat is not something that we can hear with our ears, but something that we can feel deep within our bones. It is the pulse of the earth itself, a reminder that the planet is alive, that it is constantly changing, evolving, and adapting. The heartbeat beneath the ice is a reminder that time does not stand still, that life is always moving forward, even when we cannot see it. The glaciers, with their slow, steady movement, are a reflection of this rhythm, of the quiet, unyielding march of time. As the glaciers shift and move, they leave behind a trail of memories. These memories are not just physical traces, but spiritual ones, carrying the essence of the Earth's history. The ice holds the stories of ancient times, of eras long past, of creatures that once roamed the land and the skies. These stories are etched into the layers of ice, preserved for millennia, waiting to be uncovered. The heartbeat beneath the ice is a pulse that carries these stories, that holds them close, and that reminds us of the vastness of time and the interconnectedness of all life. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of a glacier, looking out over the frozen landscape. The world seems still, quiet, but beneath your feet you can feel the pulse of the earth. It is a steady, rhythmic beat that carries the weight of time itself. The ice may appear to be lifeless, but beneath its surface there is movement, there is change. There is a heartbeat that connects the past to the present. The glaciers may be frozen, but they are alive with the memories of the earth. And as they slowly shift and move, they carry these memories with them, preserving them for future generations. The heartbeat. Beneath the ice is not just the rhythm of the earth, but the rhythm of life itself. It is the pulse that connects us all to the planet, to the forces of nature that shape the world around us. The ice, with its quiet, unyielding presence, is a reminder that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. We are connected to the earth, to the rhythms of nature, to the slow, steady march of time. And as we listen to the heartbeat beneath the ice, we are reminded that we are all part of this great, interconnected web of life, and that we are all shaped by the forces that shape the world. The world beneath the ice is not as silent as it might appear. Beneath the thick layers of snow and frozen water, there exists an unseen world, a complex network of rhythms and movements that pulse through the Earth's deep, frozen heart. It is a world where the forces of nature work in concert, where the Earth itself is alive, breathing slowly and steadily, in tune with the rhythms of the planet. The glaciers, these vast rivers of ice, are not just passive records of time. They are active participants in the shaping of the world, carrying with them the echoes of the past and the signs of change that are unfolding beneath the surface. To the untrained eye, the glaciers may appear unchanging. Their massive white expanse stretches as far as the eye can see, seemingly still and unmoving like frozen monuments to a distant past. But beneath that surface, beneath the thick layers of ice, there is movement, life, and change. It is not a movement that we can see with our eyes, but it is a slow, steady process that has been unfolding for thousands, even millions of years. The glaciers are alive with motion, constantly shifting and rearranging the land beneath them, carving valleys, creating fjords, and reshaping the very face of the earth. Imagine for a moment the vastness of the glacier, the weight of the ice pressing down on the land. Beneath that immense weight, the earth moves. The ice does not sit still. It slowly glides across the surface, its weight pushing and pulling the ground beneath. This slow, imperceptible movement is not random. It is the result of forces at work deep within the planet. The Earth's crust, with its layers of rock and soil, is shaped by the glaciers, molded by the slow movement of ice that has been grinding away at the land for millennia. The glaciers, in their massive, silent movements, are slowly transforming the landscape, shaping the Earth in ways we can hardly imagine. The heartbeat beneath the ice is not a single sound but a symphony of forces at work. It is the sound of ice grinding against rock, the sound of glaciers moving across the land, the sound of pressure building up, and the sound of life emerging in the harshest conditions. It is the sound of time, unfolding slowly and deliberately, carving out the future from the raw materials of the past. The glaciers do not just reshape the land. They create new ecosystems, new habitats for life to emerge. As the ice moves, it carries with it the potential for new life, the seeds of future generations. The glaciers are not just passive records of time. They are active participants in the ongoing process of creation. Beneath the ice, life persists in ways that we can scarcely comprehend. There are organisms that have adapted to the extreme conditions, living in the crevices of the glaciers, surviving on the nutrients carried by the ice. These creatures, from tiny bacteria to larger organisms, have evolved to thrive in the cold, in the darkness, in the frozen world beneath the surface. They are part of a hidden world, a world that remains largely untouched by the outside forces that shape the surface. The glaciers, in their quiet, unyielding presence, sustain life in ways that we are only beginning to understand. They provide a sanctuary, a refuge for life that has adapted to the harshest conditions. And as the glaciers move, as the ice melts and recedes, these hidden ecosystems are exposed, revealing the secrets of life in the frozen world. As the glaciers move across the land, they shape not only the physical world but also the climate itself. The glaciers are part of the Earth's climate system, influencing the patterns of weather, the movement of air and water, and the distribution of heat across the planet. The ice acts as a giant mirror, reflecting sunlight and helping to regulate the temperature of the Earth. The glaciers are part of a delicate balance, a system that keeps the Earth's climate stable, maintaining the conditions necessary for life to thrive. But as the glaciers melt, as the Earth's climate warms, that balance is threatened. The heartbeat beneath the ice is becoming faster, more urgent, as the Earth responds to the changes in the atmosphere. The glaciers, in their silent way, are telling us that the world is changing, that the forces of nature are shifting, and that the climate we have known is no longer as stable as it once was. Thus, the melting of the glaciers is a signal that the planet is undergoing a transformation. The ice, once solid and immovable, is now retreating, slowly but steadily, in response to the warming world. The heartbeat beneath the ice is no longer steady and calm. It is quickening, growing more frantic, as the glaciers shrink and the landscape changes. The forces of nature are no longer in perfect harmony. They are in conflict, responding to the changes that are taking place in the atmosphere. The ice, once a stabilizing force, is now becoming a harbinger of change, a reminder that the Earth is a dynamic, living system that is constantly evolving. The heartbeat beneath the ice is a warning that the planet is not static, that it is alive, and that the forces that shape it are constantly shifting. As the glaciers melt, the landscape is transformed. The once solid ice becomes water, flowing into rivers and oceans, carrying with it the nutrients and minerals that were locked in the ice. This water feeds the plants and animals that depend on it, nourishing new life and creating new ecosystems. The glaciers, in their slow, deliberate movement, have shaped the land and created the conditions for life to thrive. And now, as they melt, they are continuing that work, creating new opportunities for life to emerge, for the world to transform once again. The heartbeat beneath the ice is not the end of something, but the beginning of something new, a new chapter in the ongoing story of the Earth. Yet there is still a deep sadness in this transformation, a sense of loss that accompanies the melting of the glaciers. The ice, once a symbol of permanence, of stability, is slowly fading away, leaving behind a landscape that is forever changed. The glaciers, which have shaped the Earth for millions of years, are now retreating in response to the warming climate, leaving behind only traces of their former presence. The heartbeat beneath the ice is not the same as it once was. It has changed, quickened, as the Earth responds to the shifting forces that are at play. The glaciers may be melting, but their legacy remains. The forces that shaped the Earth, the ancient rhythms of the planet, continue to pulse beneath the surface, waiting for the next chapter to unfold. As you stand on the edge of the glacier, watching as the ice recedes, you realize that the heartbeat beneath the ice is not just a symbol of the Earth's past, but a symbol of its future. The glaciers may be melting, but the rhythms of nature, the pulse of the planet, will continue. The heartbeat beneath the ice is the rhythm of life itself, slow, steady, and constant, even as the world around it changes. It is a reminder that life is always moving forward, always changing, always evolving. And as the glaciers retreat, as the ice melts and flows into the oceans, the Earth will continue to transform, carrying with it the lessons of the past and the promise of the future. The thawing of the glaciers is not a simple, isolated event. It is a signal, a marker of a transformation that is taking place on a planetary scale. As the ice recedes, it unveils a hidden world, a world that was once shrouded in cold and silence, now slowly emerging from its frozen cocoon. The ancient heartbeat beneath the ice is now beating faster, not with a slow, patient rhythm, but with the urgency of change. The retreating glaciers are a reminder that the Earth is never static, never stagnant. It is constantly in motion, constantly evolving, and the ice, as it melts, is making way for the next phase of this transformation. The ice that once stretched for miles across continents is now shrinking, breaking apart and flowing away. The landscape beneath the glaciers is changing too. What was once a barren, frozen wasteland is now revealing itself as something entirely new, a landscape of rock, dirt, and soil, of ecosystems that have been waiting for the ice to recede in order to flourish. The waters that once held the glaciers captive are now free, flowing through valleys and mountains, carving out new paths, creating new rivers, new lakes, new oceans. The land is awakening slowly but steadily, and in this awakening there is both beauty and sadness. As the glaciers melt, the earth is being reborn in ways that we are only beginning to understand. The ice, once a stabilizing force, is now receding, leaving behind a changing world that is adapting to new conditions. The rise in temperatures, the changes in atmospheric pressure, and the increasing warmth of the oceans are all part of a larger pattern, one that has been unfolding for millions of years. But now we are at a turning point, a point where human activity is accelerating the changes that have been happening naturally over long periods of time. The melting ice, the retreating glaciers, are signs of this change, a reminder that the earth is responding to the forces we are imposing upon it. This change is not just physical, it is deeply emotional. Now, too, there is a sense of loss that accompanies the melting of the glaciers, a sense of mourning for what is being left behind. The glaciers have stood for so long, shaping the land, holding the memories of the past in their frozen embrace. Now, as they melt, they carry those memories with them, and as they disappear, so too does the world that they once held. The glaciers, in their retreat, are telling us that we cannot hold on to the past forever, that change is inevitable, and that the forces of nature are far greater than our ability to control them. Yet even in the sadness of their loss, the melting glaciers carry with them the promise of renewal. The land that they once covered is now exposed, and with that exposure comes new possibilities, new opportunities for life to thrive. The melting ice feeds the oceans, bringing nutrients to the surface, creating new environments for life to flourish. As the glaciers shrink, they reveal the potential for growth, for new life, for new ecosystems to take root. The thawing of the ice is not just an end. It is the beginning of something new, something that will continue to unfold long after the glaciers have disappeared. And it is not just the land that is changing. The atmosphere, too, is responding to the melting ice. As the glaciers retreat, they release the vast amounts of water that were once locked away in frozen form, adding to the rising sea levels. This rise in sea levels is a reminder that the Earth's climate is not as stable as it once was, that the forces of nature are shifting in ways that we are still struggling to understand. The ice that once covered the Earth is now flowing into the oceans, contributing to the warming of the planet, altering the delicate balance of ecosystems around the world. The melting glaciers are both a symptom and a cause of this larger climate shift, a cycle that is still unfolding and that will continue to shape the Earth for generations to come. As the ice melts, the waters of the world rise, flooding the coasts, reshaping the land and altering the ecosystems that have existed for millennia. The oceans are expanding, swallowing up the land and with them the life that depends on the coastal ecosystems. Yet in this shift, there is also a sense of opportunity. The rising seas create new habitats, new environments for life to adapt to. Just as the glaciers have shaped the land for millions of years, the waters of the oceans will continue to shape the world, creating new patterns, new rhythms, and new life forms that will thrive in the changing world. And so, as the glaciers melt and the land is reshaped, we are reminded that the earth is not a fixed, immutable place. It is a living, breathing organism that responds to the forces around it, that shifts and adapts to new conditions. The heartbeat beneath the ice is not the end of something, but the beginning of something new, something that is still unfolding. As we watch the glaciers recede, we must remember that we are not separate from the earth, but a part of it, a part of this grand, ever-evolving dance of life. Just as the glaciers move, so too do we, and just as the ice melts and the land is reshaped, so too must we adapt, change, and grow in response to the forces that shape our world. In the slow, steady retreat of the glaciers, there is a lesson that everything is connected, that change is inevitable, and that the forces of nature, no matter how powerful, cannot be controlled. The glaciers, in their majestic silence, teach us that we are a part of something much larger than ourselves, that we are just one piece in the ever-unfolding story of the earth. The heartbeat beneath the ice is the pulse of life itself, a rhythm that carries us forward, that guides us through the changes, and that reminds us that, no matter how much we may try to control the world around us, we are always at the mercy of the forces that govern nature. And so, as we stand on the edge of the melting ice, we are reminded that the earth is alive, that it is constantly changing, and that we too are part of that change. The glaciers may be melting, but the world is not ending. It is simply transforming, evolving, as it always has. And in that transformation there is hope, there is beauty, and there is life. The ancient heartbeat beneath the ice continues to pulse, slow and steady, guiding the earth toward its next chapter, toward a future that is still unfolding. Imagine standing beneath the vast, cold sky, where the stars glitter like diamonds scattered across a dark velvet blanket. The night is still, the air crisp, the quietness profound. In this moment, time seems to slow down, and the stars, so distant, so ancient, seem almost within reach. The cold sky above is not empty, nor is it lifeless. It is a place full of stories, stories written in the light of distant stars, stories that have traveled across the vast emptiness of space for millions of years. These stars, frozen in time, have witnessed the birth and death of countless worlds. They have seen the rise of galaxies, the sweeping movements of cosmic dust, and the gentle pull of gravity as it shapes the very fabric of the universe. Yet despite their immense distance from us, the stars are not silent. They speak to us, but their voices are not the kind we hear with our ears. The whispers of the stars come to us through the light they cast, through the waves of radiation they emit, through the cosmic rays that pass through us unnoticed every day. Every star is a living message, carrying within it the history of the cosmos. The light that reaches us from these faraway worlds is ancient, a faint echo of a time long past. The light we see tonight may have left the star hundreds, thousands, or even millions of years ago, traveling across space at the speed of light. It is a reminder that the universe is vast, ancient, and filled with stories we can barely comprehend. The stars are not just points of light in the sky. They are beacons of history, frozen time capsules that contain the secrets of the universe. The light from a star carries with it information about the star's birth, its evolution, and its eventual death. Some of the stars we see shining brightly above us are in the process of dying. Their light, although still visible, is on its way to fading forever. In a way, the light from these stars is like a final message, a last story being told before the star reaches the end of its life. Some of these stars are billions of years old, and their light has traveled across unimaginable distances, reaching our eyes after all this time. Yet, in the fleeting moment that we observe them, their stories are still being written, still unfolding, still whispering their ancient secrets to us across the vast expanse of the cosmos. Think about the vastness of space itself. It is so immense that even the light from the stars we see tonight has taken years, centuries, or millennia to reach us. When we look up at the night sky, we are not just seeing the stars as they are now, but as they were in the past. The light we see tonight might have left the star long ago, and in some cases, the star may no longer even exist. It may have exploded in a supernova, collapsed into a black hole, or burned out entirely. Yet, despite the passage of time, the light from that star continues to travel, continuing its journey across space, carrying with it the memory of the star's life. It is as if the universe itself is writing a never-ending story, and the stars are the chapters, each one revealing a part of the cosmic tale that stretches back to the beginning of time. As we stand beneath the stars, we are reminded of our place in the universe. We are but tiny specks on the surface of a small planet, caught in the gravitational embrace of a small star in the midst of a vast galaxy. And yet, as we look up at the stars, we are reminded that we are connected to something much larger, something much older. The stars, in their frozen silence, tell us that we are part of the grand story of the universe, a story that stretches back billions of years and will continue for billions more. The stars are not just distant lights in the sky, they are part of us. They are the building blocks of life, the elements that form the earth and everything on it. Without the stars, there would be no life, no planets, no galaxies. The stars are the heart of the cosmos, and their light is the pulse that connects us all to the vast, mysterious universe. But the stars are not just silent witnesses to the unfolding of the cosmos. They are also active participants in the creation of new worlds, new stars, new life. In the hearts of stars, nuclear reactions are constantly occurring, forging new elements that will go on to form planets, moons, and even life. The stars are the engines of creation, the forge in which the building blocks of the universe are made. When a star dies, it often explodes in a magnificent supernova, scattering these newly formed elements across space, where they will be used to form new stars, new planets, and perhaps even new life. The death of a star is not the end of its story, but the beginning of something new. It is the ultimate cycle of birth, life, death, and rebirth that governs the universe. The stars are also a reminder of the passage of time. The light that reaches us from these distant worlds is not just a reflection of the star's current state. It is a snapshot of the past. When we look at the stars, we are looking into the past, seeing them as they were millions or even billions of years ago. This is a humbling thought, for it reminds us that the universe is not static but always in motion. The stars may appear fixed in the sky, but they are moving, evolving, changing just as we are. Their light, though ancient, continues to travel, carrying with it the story of the cosmos. In a way, we are all part of this great cosmic story, connected to the stars' Thraug. The very atoms that make up our bodies. The stars are a reminder that we are not just observers of the universe, but participants in its ongoing creation. And as we stand under the stars, we cannot help but wonder about the stories they are telling. What have they witnessed? What secrets do they hold? What messages do they have for us? The stars are not silent. They are always speaking, always sharing their ancient wisdom. Their whispers are the stories of the cosmos, the stories of time, of creation, of life and death, of the vast and mysterious universe that surrounds us. And though their voices are faint, though their whispers are soft, they are always with us, always reminding us that we are part of something far greater than ourselves. As we look up at the stars, we are reminded of our own place in the universe. We are reminded that just like the stars, we too are part of an eternal story, one that stretches back to the beginning of time and will continue for as long as the universe exists. The stars are the storytellers, the keepers of memory, and they are waiting for us to listen. Their whispers carry the wisdom of the ages, the knowledge of the universe, and they are telling us that we are part of this grand, ongoing tale. The light from the stars is not just a reflection of their past. It is a beacon, a guide, a reminder of the vast, interconnected world that we are a part of. In the darkest corners of winter, when the cold bites deep and the world seems frozen in time, there is a light that waits patiently for its moment to shine. It is a light unlike any other, a light that flickers in the coldest of nights and shines through the darkest of winters. This light is not the light of the sun, but the light that emanates from the deepest, most hidden parts of the earth, a light that comes from the frozen corners of the world, from places where life seems impossible, where warmth is a distant memory. Yet, even in these frozen realms, this light exists, quiet, persistent, and above all, powerful. Imagine for a moment a land covered in snow, a world frozen in time. The air is crisp, the ground hard and unforgiving. The trees stand as silent sentinels, their branches heavy with the weight of ice and snow. The world is still, the wind howling in the distance, but there is no movement, no sign of life. It seems as though everything is in stasis, as though the world has been caught in a deep, unyielding sleep. And yet beneath the surface of the snow, beneath the thick layers of ice, there is a secret. There is a light, a warmth that waits to be released, a warmth that will soon awaken the frozen world from its slumber. This light is not a fleeting thing. It does not come suddenly, nor does it shine in the way we are used to. It is subtle, soft, like the first rays of dawn peeking over the horizon, warming the land just enough to stir the air. It is the light of life itself, the energy that drives the rhythms of the earth, the force that stirs the deepest roots and brings the frozen world back to life. This light is the heartbeat of the planet, the rhythm that sustains all living things, even in the coldest, most barren landscapes. It is the frozen light that wakes the earth from its long winter's nap, coaxing the plants from the soil, urging the seeds to sprout, calling the animals out from their dens, and bringing a quiet vibrancy back to the world. Beneath the ice in the deep frozen earth, life persists in the most astonishing ways. It is not immediately visible, but it is there. It is in the roots of the trees, waiting for the first warmth of spring to stir it into growth. It is in the seeds buried in the ground, preserved by the cold, awaiting the moment when the light touches them once more. It is in the microbes that live deep beneath the ice, in the frozen soils that seem barren to the untrained eye. They wait silently for the thaw, for the moment when the warmth of the sun and the energy of the earth will combine to bring life back to the world. This light that emerges from the depths of the earth is not just a physical phenomenon, it is also a metaphor. It represents hope, renewal, and the promise of new beginnings. It is the energy that sustains life, even in the harshest conditions. It is the force that drives the cycles of nature, the rhythm that governs the passage of time, the pulse that moves through the earth, even when everything around it seems still. This frozen light, when it breaks through the ice, reminds us that even in the most difficult of times, life is always waiting to be reborn, to emerge, to find its way back to the surface. Consider how the snow begins to melt as the temperatures rise, how the frost that once covered the land begins to dissolve, allowing the earth to breathe once more. The light that enters the earth, the warmth that comes from the thaw, is the trigger for a powerful transformation. Beneath the frozen surface, the once dormant seeds and roots begin to stir, reaching up toward the surface, toward the light, toward life itself. It is as if the earth is waking up from a long and peaceful sleep, stretching and yawning, ready to begin again. The frozen light, which had been buried beneath layers of ice and snow, now pushes upward, bringing warmth and vitality to the world. It is the start of a new cycle, a new season, and with it comes the promise of renewal, of growth, and of life. This light is not just the sunlight that warms the earth from above, but the light that comes from within, from the very heart of the planet. It is the energy that flows through the land, the pulse that beats beneath the surface, the force that moves through all living things. It is this light that sustains life, that nurtures the plants, the animals, the trees, and the very soil that sustains them. It is the invisible force that connects all things, the thread that ties the earth's living systems together. Without this frozen light, life would not exist. The earth would be a barren, frozen wasteland, void of the vibrant energy that sustains all living things. And as we look to the world around us, to the cycles of nature, to the seasons that shift from cold to warmth, from darkness to light, we are reminded of the power of this energy. We are reminded that life is not just a fleeting moment, but an ongoing process, a constant cycle of birth, growth, death, and rebirth. The frozen light that emerges from beneath the ice is a symbol of this cycle, of the continuous flow of energy that sustains life, even in the most inhospitable conditions. It is a reminder that, no matter how harsh the winter may seem, there is always the promise of spring, always the possibility of life emerging once again from the depths of the frozen earth. This frozen light is also a reminder that life is not always easy. Just as the seeds must push through the cold, hard earth to find the warmth of the sun, so too must we sometimes face the harshest conditions in order to grow and thrive. The light that breaks through the ice is not always an easy light to find, but it is there, waiting for us to reach for it, to seek it out, to let it guide us to where we need to be. It is a reminder that, even in the darkest of times, there is always the possibility of light, always the possibility of hope, always the possibility of life. As the frozen light begins to touch the earth, the world begins to change. The snow melts, the ice recedes, and the land is transformed. It is a quiet transformation, one that happens slowly, imperceptibly over time. But it is a transformation that is no less powerful. The earth awakens, the flowers bloom, the trees bud, and the animals return to the world that has been made new once again. And in this awakening, there is a sense of peace, of calm, of balance. The frozen light has done its work, and the world is reborn. The glaciers, despite their vast and imposing nature, carry with them a secret that few have ever truly heard. Beneath their icy surface, there exists a sound, a song that is ancient and deeply woven into the fabric of the earth. This sound is not something that we hear with our ears, but something we feel in the depths of our being, like the echo of an ancient melody that resonates in the bones of the planet itself. The glaciers may appear silent, still, and lifeless, but within them lies a symphony, a hidden music that reverberates through the frozen air, through the ice and the snow, through the land itself. It is the sound of time, of movement, of change, of life, even in the coldest, most remote places on Earth. Imagine for a moment standing at the foot of a glacier, looking up at its towering walls of ice, feeling the cold air pressing against your skin. The world around you is quiet, almost unnervingly so. There is no movement, no sound, except for the occasional crunch of snow beneath your feet. But if you close your eyes and listen carefully, you may begin to notice something. It's subtle at first, a soft creak in the distance, like the sound of the ice shifting ever so slightly. The glacier, despite its frozen immensity, is alive, moving slowly, imperceptibly, like a slow-moving wave of frozen water. This is the first note of the glacier's song, a deep, resonant hum that vibrates through the air, through the ground, and through the ice itself. It is a sound that speaks of the immense pressure the glacier is under, the weight of centuries of snow and ice pressing down on the land. This hidden music of the glaciers is not simply a sound of stress or tension. It is also the sound of creation. The glaciers, in their slow and steady movement, carve valleys, shape mountains, and create the very landscapes we see today. As the glacier moves, it grinds against the land, carving deep furrows in the earth, shaping the surface with a kind of quiet, relentless power. The sound of this movement is like the rumble of a distant thunderstorm, felt more in the bones than in ears. It is the sound of transformation, of the earth itself being shaped, reshaped, and molded by the weight and power of the ice. The glaciers are in many ways the Earth's memory. Within the ice, trapped in small air bubbles, are the remnants of ancient atmospheres, the whispers of a time long past. The air trapped in the ice is like a frozen record, a piece of the past preserved for future generations to study. These tiny bubbles hold the stories of ancient worlds, of long-lost climates, and of the creatures that once roamed the earth. They are like echoes of a time before humans, before cities, before the modern world. When we listen to the glaciers, We are listening to the very heartbeat of the planet, to the stories that have been frozen in time, waiting to be heard. But the glaciers are not only silent records of the past, they are also active participants in the present, creating new landscapes, new environments, and new worlds. The slow, steady flow of ice has the power to change the earth, to transform the land, and to create life. As glaciers melt, they release water, which feeds rivers, lakes, and ecosystems. The runoff from the glaciers nourishes the land, bringing life to regions that might otherwise be barren. The glaciers, in their retreat, bring about new cycles of growth, new opportunities for life to thrive, and new possibilities for the world to change. The glaciers are both creators and destroyers, shaping the land and, in the process, shaping the future of the planet. The music of the glaciers is a complex composition, a symphony of sounds that tell the story of the Earth's transformation. As the glaciers move, they create sounds that are subtle, delicate, and almost imperceptible. The crackling of the ice, the rumbling of the glacier as it shifts, the soft whispers of the snow as it settles. These are all notes in the glacier's song. Each note, no matter how small, is a part of a larger, more intricate melody that speaks of time, of movement, of life. And though the music is faint, it is ever present, a constant reminder of the power and beauty of the glaciers, of the forces that shape the world and the sounds that accompany them. When we listen to the glaciers, we are hearing a song that is both ancient and eternal. The glaciers have been here for millions of years, slowly carving the landscape, slowly shaping the earth. And yet, in that time, they have never ceased moving, never ceased creating, never ceased making their music. The sound of the glaciers is not just the sound of ice, but the sound of time itself. It is the music of a world in constant flux, a world that is always changing, always evolving, always becoming something new. The glaciers, in their silence, are speaking to us, telling us of the Earth's past, its present, and its future. In many ways, the glaciers are a reflection of life itself. Like the glaciers, we are all part of an ongoing process of change. We, too, are shaped by the forces around us, by the pressures of the world, by the weight of time. Just as the glaciers shape the land, so too do we shape our lives, carving out paths and creating the world around us. And like the glaciers, we leave behind traces of our journey, echoes of our existence, that will be remembered long after we are gone. The glaciers are a reminder that everything is connected, that everything is part of a larger story, a larger symphony of life that plays out over time. And yet, despite the power and beauty of the glaciers, there is a quiet sadness that accompanies their retreat. As the glaciers melt, as the ice disappears, something is lost. The landscape is changing, the world is transforming, and with it, the music of the glaciers begins to fade. The sounds of the ice, the creaks and groans, the slow rumble of movement are fading into silence. The glaciers, once mighty and eternal, are now retreating, leaving behind a world forever changed. And in that silence, there is a sense of loss, a sense of mourning for the passing of something that has been with us for so long. But even as the glaciers melt, even as their music fades, there is hope. The glaciers may be retreating, but the world is not ending. Life, like the glaciers, will continue to evolve, to adapt, to change. The music of the glaciers may fade, but new songs will be written, new rhythms will emerge. The world is always in motion, always changing, always becoming something new. The glaciers may be melting, but the earth is alive. And with that life comes new possibilities, new opportunities for growth, and new melodies to be heard. Winter is a time when the world is reborn in quiet, crystalline silence. When the air turns cold and the ground is covered in a blanket of snow, everything seems to slow down. The once bustling world retreats into a stillness, a calmness that feels almost otherworldly. Beneath the crisp, icy sky, everything is transformed. The trees, bare of leaves, become silent sentinels, their branches etched in frost. The ground, once vibrant with life, is now a canvas of white, untouched by footsteps. In this moment, it feels as though time itself has taken a breath, holding the world in a gentle embrace. It is as though the earth has wrapped itself in a blanket of sleep, preparing for the deep, quiet rest that only winter can bring. And yet, even in this apparent stillness, there is life beneath the surface, quietly thriving, waiting for the warmth of spring to stir it into action. Winter is not a time of death, but a time of preparation, a time of waiting. The frozen world beneath the snow is full of life, hidden in the soil, in the roots of trees, in the burrows beneath the ground. In the stillness of winter, the earth is quietly turning inward, gathering strength, storing energy for the rebirth that will come with the spring. The snow that blankets the earth is not a shroud of death, but a protector, a guardian of life, keeping the cold at bay, sheltering the delicate buds, the seeds, the roots that will bloom once the warmth returns. Winter is a season that teaches patience. It is a time when the world holds its breath, waiting for the first signs of warmth, the first signs of life returning to the earth. The snow falls softly, covering everything in a quiet, crystalline layer, and for a time the world becomes a world of pure simplicity. The complexities of life, the rush of daily existence, seem to fall away, replaced by the purity of the snow, the silence of the winter air. The cold cuts through, but it also clears the mind. In the stillness of winter, there is a clarity, a quiet peace that comes from the absence of distraction. It is as if the world has paused, allowing us to rest, to reflect, and to prepare for the new season that will eventually arrive. The beauty of winter is in its simplicity. The snow, untouched and pure, forms a perfect blanket over the landscape, transforming the world into a vision of quiet wonder. The sky, too, is transformed during winter, taking on a deep, pale blue hue that seems to stretch endlessly across the horizon. The coldness in the air makes everything feel sharper, clearer, as if the world itself has been refreshed. The snowflakes, each one a tiny masterpiece of nature, fall softly from the sky, dancing through the cold air before settling on the ground. Each snowflake is a fleeting creation, here for only a moment before it melts into the earth. In this brief, fragile existence, there is beauty, and there is a deep, resonant truth. Everything in life is fleeting, and yet everything is part of something larger, something eternal. Beneath the crystal sky, the landscape appears to be frozen in time, a snapshot of the world as it was in the past, as it is now, and as it will be in the future. The trees stand still, their limbs heavy with snow, their branches reaching toward the sky. The earth beneath is hard, frozen, waiting for the return of warmth. The world appears peaceful, but it is a peace that is hard-earned. Winter, with all its stillness, is not an easy season. It is a time of struggle for many, a time when the cold can be unforgiving, when the days are short and the nights long. And yet within this struggle, there is also beauty. The harshness of winter reveals the resilience of life, the quiet strength of nature as it endures the cold and waits for the warmth to return. Winter also reveals the depth of silence. When the snow falls, it mutes the world, creating a soundscape unlike any other. The crunch of footsteps in the snow, the soft whisper of the wind, the distant call of a bird, all of these sounds are magnified in the stillness of winter. The world seems to hold its breath, as if the very air is waiting for something to happen. And in this silence, there is an invitation to listen, to tune in to the quiet rhythms of nature. The silence of winter is not an absence but a presence. It is a space for reflection, a space for contemplation, a space for us to connect with the earth in a way that we cannot during the busier, louder months of the year. In winter, the earth speaks in whispers, in quiet moments, in the soft crunch of snow beneath our feet. And yet, even in winter's silence, there is a hidden vibrancy, a pulse of life beneath the surface. The earth is not dead. It is simply resting, preparing for the rebirth that will come with the change of seasons. The animals, too, are adapting to the cold, finding ways to survive beneath the snow, beneath the ice, in the places where life persists in the harshest of conditions. The cold may slow things down, but it does not stop the world from moving. Beneath the frozen surface, life is preparing for its next chapter, gathering strength and waiting for the sun to return. The stillness of winter is not the end, but the beginning of something new, something that will unfold when the warmth of spring arrives. Winter, in its frozen beauty, teaches us to embrace the quiet, to slow down, and to listen to the world around us. In the rush of our modern lives, we often forget the importance of stillness. We forget that there is value in pausing, in reflecting, in simply being present with the world. Winter, with its crystal sky and soft snowfall, invites us to remember this. It invites us to embrace the silence, to sit in the stillness, and to find beauty in the simplicity of the moment. The world may be frozen, but there is life in that stillness. There is peace in that quiet, and there is wisdom in the frozen landscape. As we stand beneath the crystal sky, surrounded by the quiet beauty of winter, we are reminded of the cyclical nature of life, the constant flow of seasons and the rhythms of the earth. Winter is not an ending, but a beginning, a time of rest, of renewal, and of preparation for the return of warmth. Just as the trees sleep beneath the snow, just as the animals hibernate in their dens, we too are invited to rest, to reflect, and to prepare for the next chapter in the great, ongoing story of the earth. The frozen light of winter, with its quiet beauty and its hidden life, is a reminder that we are all connected to the planet, that we are all part of this grand, ever-changing dance of life. In the quietest corners of the earth, where the cold seeps into every crack and crevice, there lies a memory so ancient, so vast, that it stretches back to the beginning of time. It is a memory written in ice, in the layers of snow and frozen water that have accumulated over millennia. The ice, though still and silent, holds within it the story of the earth itself. It is a story of cycles, of changes, of forces at work beneath the surface. And yet, despite its seemingly quiet nature, the memory of ice is anything but passive. It is a force, a keeper of secrets, a witness to the ages. It is a silent keeper of the Earth's history, a history that is both beautiful and sorrowful, a history that will eventually fade away as the ice melts, but one that will always remain in the heart of the planet. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast glacier, the cold air biting at your skin as you gaze out over the endless expanse of snow and ice. The world around you is still, quiet, and untouched. The ice stretches for miles in every direction, a frozen sea of white. The land beneath your feet is hard, cold, and unyielding. And yet beneath that icy surface there is a hidden world, a world that is alive with memories, with the echoes of times long past. The ice is not just frozen water. It is a record, a diary of the Earth's history, written in layers of snow and ice, each one representing a different moment in time, a different chapter in the planet's story. As you stand there, you feel the weight of the world pressing down on you. The ice beneath your feet is not just cold. It is ancient, carrying the weight of centuries, of thousands of years. The glacier has been here for so long, moving slowly, imperceptibly, inch by inch, carving out the land, shaping the world as it moves. And yet, despite its immense size, despite its overwhelming power, the glacier is vulnerable. The world is changing, and the ice, once so steady and unyielding, is slowly melting away. The memory of the glacier is fading. As the ice that holds it begins to slip away, bit by bit, into the ocean. But even as the glacier melts, it leaves behind traces of its past. The ice that has been formed over thousands of years carries with it the echoes of a time when the Earth was colder, when glaciers stretched across entire continents, when the world was a vastly different place. The layers of ice tell the story of the Earth's past climate, of the rise and fall of ice ages, of the slow, steady movement of the planet's surface. Each layer of ice is like a page in a book, a snapshot of a moment in time, a piece of history frozen in place. And as the ice melts, those stories are revealed, one layer at a time, like the turning of pages in a book, each chapter unfolding with a quiet grace. The memory of ice is not just a memory of cold, but a memory of life. Beneath the frozen surface, the ice holds the remnants of ancient plants, of long-extinct animals, of the very breath of the earth. The ice is like a time capsule, preserving the world as it once was, locked in a moment that will never return. But as the ice melts, it releases these memories, offering us a glimpse into a world we can never truly know, a world that has been preserved in the silence of the glacier. The melting ice is like a release, a quiet letting go of the past, a soft surrender to the forces of time and change. The memory of ice is also a memory of the Earth's resilience. The glaciers, in their slow and steady movement, have shaped the land, carving out valleys, mountains, and rivers. The glaciers have shaped the very surface of the Earth, creating the landscapes we see today. They have molded the world, shaping it over thousands of years, carving out the features that make our planet unique. And even as the ice melts, even as the glaciers recede, the Earth continues to change, continues to evolve, continues to move forward. The memory of the ice is a reminder that the Earth is alive, always in motion, always changing, always adapting to the forces that shape it. But the memory of ice is also a reminder of the fragility of life, of the delicate balance that exists between the forces of nature and the creatures that inhabit the planet. The glaciers, once vast and unstoppable, are now retreating in response to the warming climate. The ice, once so steady and unyielding, is now melting, and with it, the memory of a time long past is fading. The world is changing, and the ice, in its quiet way, is telling us that we must pay attention, that we must listen to the stories it holds before they slip away forever. The melting of the glaciers is not just a loss of ice, it is a loss of something much deeper. It is a loss of the memory of the earth, a loss of the history that has been written in the frozen pages of the glaciers. As the ice melts, it is as if the earth is forgetting, as if the past is slipping away into the present, leaving behind only traces of what once was. And yet, even as the ice melts, even as the glaciers recede, there is still something beautiful in this process. The melting ice brings with it new life, new ecosystems, new possibilities for growth and change. The world may be losing the memory of the past, but it is gaining something new, something that will shape the future. The memory of ice is also a memory of time. Time moves slowly in the world of ice, as the glaciers creep forward inch by inch, carving out the land, shaping the world. Time is patient in the frozen world, moving at a pace that is almost imperceptible to the human eye. And yet, despite its slow passage, time is always at work, always shaping the world, always leaving its mark. The memory of ice is a reminder that time does not stop, that it moves forward relentlessly, carrying us with it. And even as the glaciers melt, even as the ice slips away, time continues to move, shaping the earth in ways we cannot yet fully understand. As you stand before the glacier, you realize that the memory of ice is not just a memory of the past, but a memory of the future. The ice, in its quiet, steady retreat, is a sign of what is to come, a reminder that change is inevitable, that the world is always in motion, always evolving, always adapting. The glaciers may be melting, but the earth will continue to change, continue to transform, continue to evolve. The memory of the ice is a reminder that we are all part of this process, that we are all connected to the forces that shape the world, that we are all part of the ongoing story of the earth. The memory of ice is a gift, a legacy that has been passed down through the ages, a story that is both ancient and timeless. It is a reminder that the earth is always changing, always moving, always becoming something new. The glaciers may be melting, but their memory will remain, etched in the land, in the rivers, in the oceans, in the very air we breathe. The memory of ice is a story that will never be forgotten, a story that will continue to unfold, layer by layer, as the earth continues to evolve. There are moments in life when the vastness of the universe becomes so apparent that it is hard to ignore. Under the expanse of the night sky, as the stars shimmer above, it can feel as though the universe itself is speaking in a language older than time, a language we have long forgotten. Each star is a story, an ancient tale written in the very fabric of space and time. Yet, for all their brilliance and magnificence, the stars are silent. They do not shout or call out to us, but instead, they whisper in their quiet brilliance, inviting us to listen, to reflect, and to wonder. Their light, though it travels for millions of years, only reaches us after eons, and in that journey they leave behind not just light, but a message, a call to return to the very source of our being. When we gaze at the stars, we are not merely looking at distant suns. We are looking at the past, at the memories of the cosmos. The light we see tonight may have left the stars long ago, traveling across the vastness of space at the speed of light. Some of the stars we see in the night sky no longer exist, their light continuing its journey through the void even though the stars themselves have burned out or collapsed. In this way, we are always looking into the past, into the echoes of a time that has already passed. And yet, there is something in that light, something in that ancient journey that calls to us, that beckons us to listen to the silence of the stars. The stars, in their silent, unyielding presence, remind us of the passage of time. Time, like the light of the stars, travels in ways that we cannot fully understand. It is both fleeting and eternal, both quick and slow, depending on how we look at it. The stars are the keepers of time, the silent witnesses to the unfolding of the universe. They have been there since the beginning, watching as galaxies were born, as planets formed, as life began to emerge. And yet, despite their long history, the stars remain unchanged, steady, patient. Their silence speaks volumes, a language of stillness and eternity that we struggle to comprehend. As we stand beneath the stars, we are reminded of our own place in the vastness of the universe. We are a small part of a much larger whole, a fleeting moment in the grand tapestry of existence. But even in our smallness, we are connected to the stars, connected to the vastness of the cosmos. The stars are not just distant lights in the sky. They are part of us, just as we are part of them. We are made of the same stardust, the same elements that were forged in the hearts of dying stars. We are born from the universe, and we will return to it when our time is done. The stars remind us that we are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of it, connected by the very fabric of existence. In the silence of the stars, there is a kind of peace. It is a peace that comes from knowing that we are part of something larger than ourselves, something eternal and timeless. The stars have witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the birth and death of stars, the ebb and flow of galaxies. And yet, they remain steady, unmoving, silent in their presence. There is a tranquility in that stillness, a comfort in knowing that the stars have been here long before us and will continue to be here long after we are gone. The silence of the stars is not an absence, but a presence. It is a reminder that, despite the chaos and noise of our lives, there is a quiet order to the universe, a stillness that we can return to when we need to find peace. As we stand beneath the stars, we may begin to feel a pull, a quiet longing that calls to us from deep within. It is as though the stars are calling us home, calling us to return to a place we have forgotten, to a place that exists beyond time and space. The stars are not just distant lights in the sky. They are beacons, guiding us back to our true selves, to the source of all life. In the silence of the stars, we hear the echoes of our own existence, the whispers of the universe that remind us of who we are and where we come from. The journey home, in the most profound sense, is not a physical journey but a spiritual one. It is a journey of returning to the source, of reconnecting with the infinite, of finding peace in the vastness of the universe. The stars, in their silent way, guide us on this journey. They do not speak with words, but with light, with their steady presence, with the way they shine through the darkness. They are the silent guides, the ancient beacons that have been lighting the way for countless generations. And though their light may seem distant and cold, it is a light that brings warmth, a light that comforts, a light that reminds us that we are not alone in the universe. The journey home is a journey of rediscovery. It is a journey of reconnecting with the deepest parts of ourselves, of remembering who we are and where we came from. The stars are the mirrors that reflect our own inner light, the stillness that we seek in our hearts. When we gaze at the stars, we are not just looking into the distance. We are looking within, searching for the truth that lies hidden beneath the surface of our everyday lives. The stars invite us to look beyond the mundane, beyond the noise and chaos, and to listen to the silence that speaks to us from the depths of the cosmos. In that silence, we find our own truth, our own peace, our own journey home. As we embark on this journey, we begin to realize that the stars are not just distant objects in the sky, but part of an ongoing story, a story that has been unfolding since the beginning of time. The stars are the storytellers, the keepers of the universe's history, and their silent whispers are the threads that weave together the fabric of existence. In their stillness, they hold the stories of the cosmos, the stories of life and death, of birth and rebirth, of creation and destruction. The stars are the silent witnesses to the unfolding of the universe, and in their silence, they remind us that we, too, are part of that story. And as we stand beneath the stars, we realize that we are not just passive observers of the universe, but active participants in the great cosmic dance. The stars have been here for billions of years, and they will continue to shine long after we are gone. But our time here is short, and in that fleeting moment, we must listen to the whispers of the stars, to the call of the universe, and find our way home. The journey home is not a destination but a process, a return to the truth that lies deep within us, a return to the source from which we came. And as we listen to the stars, as we follow their silent call, we find we are not lost, but exactly where we need to be, part of the vast, eternal rhythm of the universe. Life and death are often seen as opposing forces, one bringing growth and the other inevitable endings. But in the great cycle of the universe, they are not enemies but dancers, twirling together in an eternal waltz, each one giving meaning to the other. Like the ebb and flow of tides, the rise and fall of mountains, and the changing of seasons, life and death are intrinsically connected. Neither exists without the other. They are two sides of the same coin, the heartbeat of the universe, each taking its turn, each playing its part in the greater rhythm of existence. Imagine for a moment standing at the edge of a forest, the cool breeze of twilight brushing against your skin, the golden light of the setting sun filtering through the trees. The air smells of earth and growing things, the vibrant hues of autumn leaves painting the world in fiery reds, yellows, and oranges. In the distance, you hear the soft rustling of leaves, the quiet song of birds settling for the night, the distant call of a deer or a fox making its way home. But within this peaceful moment, there lies a deeper truth. This beauty, this life that surrounds you exists because of the cycle of death that has come before it. The leaves, brilliant in their autumn splendor, are born from the quiet death of the spring and summer, shedding and falling to nourish the soil that will give rise to new life. In the forest, every tree, every blade of grass, every creature that roams the earth lives and dies in harmony, following the ancient rhythm that has always been. This cycle of life and death is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced. Death is not an end, but a transformation, a passing of energy from one form to another. It is a natural part of the dance, a necessary step in the greater pattern of the universe. For just as the stars are born from the dust of exploded supernovae, the earth is shaped by the forces of erosion, and the oceans are fed by the rivers that flow from the mountains, life, too, is nurtured by death. Without death, there could be no birth. Without the fall of a leaf, there could be no new growth. Without the death of a star, there would be no planets to sustain life. Death is not the end of existence. It is simply a transformation, the passage of one form of life to another, a continuation of the endless flow of energy that sustains the universe. In this way, life and death become partners, moving together in a perfect harmony that stretches across time and space. Life is fleeting, like a bird taking flight for the first time, soaring into the sky before disappearing into the horizon. But death is always there, quietly waiting in the wings, ready to bring the dance to its next phase. In death, there is not an ending but a new beginning. It is the closing of one chapter, the opening of another. And so, in the silence of the night, as the stars twinkle overhead, we are reminded of the great cosmic dance that has been happening for eons, a dance of life, death, and rebirth, a dance that we are all part of. Consider the way the seasons change. In the spring, life bursts forth from the cold, hard earth. Buds bloom, animals awaken, and the world is full of possibility. Summer comes, bringing warmth and abundance, the earth alive with color and growth. But as the seasons progress, the time for growth fades and autumn arrives with its cool breeze, its brilliant leaves, and its quiet reminder that all things must pass. The leaves fall, the days short, and the earth begins its quiet rest. Winter comes, cold and silent, the world seeming to sleep beneath a blanket of snow. But beneath the surface, life continues, waiting for the warmth of spring to bring it back to life once again. Life and death are inextricably linked in the cycle of the seasons, each one giving meaning to the other. This cycle is not just seen in the changing of seasons, but in the very fabric of the world itself. All living things are part of this dance, moving through their own cycles of life, death, and rebirth. The caterpillar becomes a butterfly, the seed becomes a tree, the fish gives birth to the next generation. Even the rocks, the mountains, the rivers are not immune to this dance. They are constantly being reshaped by the forces of nature, eroded by wind and water, transformed into new forms over time. The mountains, once towering high above the landscape, slowly wear away, becoming dust, which is carried by the wind and returned to the earth, ready to become something new. In the universe itself, the cycle of life and death plays out on a cosmic scale. The stars, like the trees, are born, live, and die, their lives measured in the light they emit, the heat they radiate. When a star dies, it explodes in a brilliant supernova, scattering its elements across the universe. These elements, once part of the star, are now part of the univ. Ursa's vast cosmic dust, waiting to form new stars, new planets, new life. And so, in the death of a star, there is not an end but a beginning. The very atoms that make up our bodies were once part of a star, and when our time comes, we too will become part of the greater cycle, passing on our energy to new life, contributing to the ongoing dance of life, death, and rebirth. In our own lives, we too experience this dance. From the moment we are born, we begin our journey through the world, moving through the phases of growth, change, and eventually death. Yet death, as we often think of it, is not the end of the story. It is simply a transformation, a shedding of the old, a clearing of the path for something new. As we pass from one life into the next, we are not leaving behind a void, but creating space for new life to emerge. We are part of the endless cycle that governs the universe. Our lives a brief but beautiful expression of the greater dance that is always unfolding. There is a quiet beauty in this cycle, a beauty that comes from understanding that life and death are not opposites but partners in the grand dance of the cosmos. Life is brief, but in its brevity there is meaning. Each moment we live, each breath we take, is part of this grand pattern, part of the eternal flow of energy that sustains the universe. Death, too, is beautiful, for it is not an ending but a return, a transformation into something new. The dance continues, always moving forward, always evolving, always changing, as life and death twirl together in an endless rhythm, each step taken in perfect harmony. The silence of death is not the absence of life. It is the quiet space between one movement and the next, the pause between breaths, the moment of rest before the next surge of energy. And as we stand in the midst of this great dance, we realize that we are not just observers, but participants. We are part of the rhythm of the universe, part of the cycle that has been unfolding since the beginning of time. Life and death, in their quiet, graceful dance, invite us to remember that we are not separate from the world but part of it. We are part of the eternal flow, the constant movement, the grand, beautiful rhythm that sustains all of existence. There is a place where shadows and light meet, where the two forces of nature dance together in an eternal embrace. It is not a place that can be touched or held, but one that we experience in every corner of our lives. The interplay between light and shadow is an ancient dance, one that has shaped the world we live in, from the rise and fall of the sun to the delicate balance between day and night. It is in this place between light and shadow that the soul of the world resides. Here, the world is neither fully illuminated nor completely dark, but instead exists in a delicate balance, caught in the tension between opposing forces. And it is within this balance that we find the deepest truths about life, about ourselves, and about the universe we inhabit. Imagine walking through a forest, the tall trees casting long shadows across the forest floor. The sun filters through the leaves, creating patches of light that dance on the ground. As you move deeper into the forest, the light and shadow shift, playing with each other, teasing and blending together in a symphony of contrasts. The light brings warmth, illuminating the path ahead, while the shadows create cool, quiet spaces where you can rest and reflect. In this place, there is no harsh separation between the two. Instead, they coexist, each one enhancing the other. The shadows would not exist without the light, and the light would not have the same depth without the shadows. Together, they create a harmony that is both soothing and powerful, a rhythm that speaks to the soul. This dance between light and shadow is not just a physical phenomenon. It is a reflection of the deeper patterns that govern our lives. We all experience moments of light and shadow within ourselves. There are times when our path is clear, when the light shines brightly and we can see where we are going. These are the moments of clarity, of joy, of inspiration. But there are also times when we find ourselves in darkness, when the shadows seem to swallow us whole. These are the moments of doubt, of fear, of loss. And yet, just as the light cannot exist without the shadow, we cannot fully appreciate the light without having known the darkness. It is in these moments of shadow that we grow, that we learn, that we discover the depths of our being. Without the contrast, the light would have no meaning. Think of the cycles of day and night. The sun rises in the east, casting its golden light over the earth, waking the world from its slumber. As the day progresses, the light grows stronger, filling the world with warmth and energy. But as the sun begins to set, the light slowly fades and the shadows begin to grow. The night falls, and with it comes the darkness, He quiets stillness that allows the world to rest. But even in the darkness there is a beauty. The stars appear, twinkling in the night sky, guiding the way for those who seek it. The moon rises, casting a soft, gentle light over the landscape. The darkness is not empty but filled with its own kind of magic, its own kind of light. The night is not the absence of light, but a different form of it, one that exists in the space between the stars, between the moments. In our own lives, we too experience this cycle of light and shadow. There are times when we feel illuminated, when everything seems clear and full of promise. These are the times when we are inspired, when we feel connected to the world and to ourselves. But there are also times when the shadows grow long, when the light seems distant, and we are left to navigate the darkness. These moments can feel overwhelming, as if we are lost in the dark with no way to find our way out. But just as the night always gives way to the dawn, the shadows too will pass. The light will return, bringing with it new possibilities, new opportunities for growth and understanding. The darkness is not an enemy, but a teacher, guiding us to the light that waits just beyond it. The journey through shadows and light is not always easy, but it is necessary. It is in the shadows that we find our strength, our resilience, our capacity for growth. It is in the darkness that we confront our deepest fears and doubts, and through them we learn who we truly are. The light, on the other hand, shows us the way, guiding us forward, filling us with hope and inspiration. Together, the shadows and the light create the landscape of our lives, each one playing its part in the greater journey. Consider the moments when you have faced adversity. These are the times when the shadows seem to stretch out endlessly before you, when the path ahead is unclear and the light seems far out of reach. Yet in these moments, something within you rises to meet the challenge. You find strength you didn't know you had, resilience that surprises you. The shadows may be long, but they are not permanent. They are a part of the cycle, a necessary contrast to the light. And when you emerge from the darkness, you find that the light is even brighter, even more meaningful, because you have walked through the shadows and come out stronger on the other side. The interplay of light and shadow is not limited to the physical world. It also plays out in the emotional and spiritual realms. There are moments when we feel lost in the darkness, when our emotions overwhelm us, and it feels as if we will never find our way back to the light. These are the times when we must trust that the light will return, just as the sun rises every morning, bringing with it the promise of a new day. We must learn to embrace the shadows, to understand that they are a part of us, that they too have something to teach us. It is in the dance between the two that we find our balance, our peace, our sense of purpose. As you walk through life, you will encounter both light and shadow. There will be times when everything seems clear, when the way ahead is bright and full of promise. And there will be times when the shadows grow long, when you feel lost and uncertain. But know this, neither the light nor the shadows are permanent. They are simply parts of the larger cycle, moments in time that will pass. The key is to learn to navigate the dance between the two, to embrace the shadows when they come, knowing that the light will return. And when it does, you will find that it is all the more beautiful, all the more meaningful, because you have journeyed through the darkness and come out the other side. The dance between shadows and light is not just a cosmic occurrence, but a personal one. We, too, are part of this eternal rhythm. The moments of darkness in our lives help to shape us, to define us, and to teach us the lessons we need to learn. The moments of light guide us, inspire us, and give us the strength to keep moving forward. And so, in the quiet moments of the night, when the shadows seem to stretch endlessly before us, we can remember that they are not the end. They are merely a part of the journey, and the light will return when the time is right. In the stillness of the frozen world, where the snow lies thick on the ground and the winds carry a chill that cuts to the bone, there is an awakening, a quiet stirring beneath the ice and snow, an energy that has long been dormant but is now slowly beginning to rise. It is as though the earth itself is stretching from a long, deep slumber, the frost that has held it in place now slowly dissolving as warmth begins to seep back into the land. The frozen heart of the earth, once still and cold, is beginning to feel the stirrings of life once more. It is a subtle, gentle awakening, one that cannot be rushed, but one that promises renewal, growth, and transformation. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast, frozen lake, the surface of the ice smooth and unbroken, stretching out before you like a mirror reflecting the pale sky above. The world around you is quiet, almost unbearably so. The air is crisp and still, the snow on the ground untouched by human hands. It feels as though the world is holding its breath, waiting for something, for some shift to occur. And then, just as the silence begins to feel too heavy, you hear it, a soft crack, a faint vibration that runs through the ice. It is the first sign, the first whisper of something stirring beneath the surface. The frozen heart of the earth is awakening, the ice that has held it in place for so long beginning to shift, to move, to break apart.